Carlos lended his basketball to Roberto and I. We returned it after practice. So what they want us to do is they want us to split this into two sentences. I know there's probably a way where we can keep it as one, but what they were wanting was two. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and let's underline the first word in the sentence, of course. Carlos. There's a little lag here. I apologize. Because that's obviously somebody's name. Carlos lended his basketball to Roberto and I. Roberto is somebody else's name, so of course we got to underline that. And then I, of course, we always capitalize. So we got to do that. And then they want us to actually, Carlos lended his basketball to Roberto and I. They want us to put a period after I. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to put a period right there. Hopefully you can see that period. And then they want us to start a new sentence. So we got to capitalize the we. We returned it after practice, period. I think that's all we need to do. Carlos lended his basketball to Roberto and I. We returned it after practice. No, that is not all we need to do. Lended is not a word, even though it should be. It's not. It's one of those irregular verbs. So what we need to do is we actually need to change that to lent. Carlos lent his basketball to Roberto and I. We returned it after practice. I think that's it. Okay. The team's uniforms was filthy after playing on that muddy field. The players was dirty too. There are a couple ways you can do this. Again, they wanted you to split it into two sentences. But there are ways to do that differently. But let's start with capitalizing the first word, of course. So the needs to be capitalized. The team's uniforms were filthy. That's the wrong verb there. Since we're talking about multiple teams, we need to change that to were. So make sure you've done that. Okay, now also, guys, I hope you caught this. The team's uniforms. We're talking about more than one team, and it's showing possession over uniforms. Therefore, we have to have an apostrophe after the S. After the S. The team's uniforms, because it's more than one team, and it's showing possession over uniform. Okay, the team's uniforms were filthy after playing on that muddy field, period. They want us to put a period there and then start a new sentence. The players, I've got to capitalize the if we do it this way. The players were, because we're talking about more than one player again, so it's the wrong verb again. So let me put that word, let me get the word there. Were dirty too. Now, this is interesting. Guys, it's the wrong two. So let me cross that off. When you can replace to with also, it's TOO. So hopefully you change this to TOO. Now, another thing, I'm going to put a period at the end just to make sure I don't forget that. But another thing, if you put to at the end, you got most of the time, almost all the time, you got to have a comma before the to, okay? So the team's uniforms were filthy after playing on that muddy field. The players were dirty too. Now notice you can replace that to with also. The players were dirty also. If that works, it's TOO. Is the underlying word a verb, adverb, or preposition? Well, I know all you guys have to do is type in during and ask the question. And since most of you did that, you know right away that during is a preposition. Now, one way to know this is this whole thing, during the thunderstorm, is actually a prepositional phrase. You can take this out, and it's still a sentence. So if I cross this off, I've still got a sentence here. I can put a period here, and we'd be okay. The frightened puppy hid under the bed. That's a sentence. During the thunderstorm. Because we can do that, we know during is a preposition. Circle the word that is spelled correctly. Guys, I think it's boundary. That's the one I'm picking. Tell me if I'm wrong. Let me get that circled correctly. Okay. Does the underlined adjective tell which one, what kind, or how many? A dozen boys tried out for the team. How many boys? A dozen.